Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into the crypto markets today.
Sounds good.
And oh boy, let me tell you, it is a wild ride out there.
Yeah.
It's November 20th, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Some coins are, hitting those highs we love to see.
Yeah.
Others are, well, taking a bit of a dip. You know how it goes.
That's how it always is, right? Ups and downs.
Exactly. Ups and downs.
Yeah.
But we've got a fantastic report to break it all down.
Okay,
Going
great.
to be focusing on what's driving these swings
Mm-hmm.
and, of course, what it all means for you, our listeners.
Of course, that's the most important part.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Got to make it relevant.
Right.
Speaking of relevant, some news from Coinbase that really caught my eye. They're delisting wrapped Bitcoin next month.
Wow, really?
And their reasoning is, well, a little vague.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But before we get into that whole drama,
Yeah, let's save that.
let's talk about the star of the show today,
Okay, who is it?
Cardano.
Cardano, yes. It's having quite a day. Surging over 10%, a 2-year high.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is this isn't just a random pump,
Right.
The data backs it up.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Significant increase in whale transactions, trading volume, and open interest.
Okay, so break that down for me. What does that data tell us? What does it mean for, someone holding ADA?
Well, essentially, it shows strong confidence from both large and small investors.
Mm-hmm.
Suggests a belief that Cardano's value is, going to keep rising.
That makes sense.
Think of it like, have you ever seen a store that's suddenly just flooded with customers?
Oh, yeah.
You'd probably think they've got something good, right?
Yeah.
Same principle here.
So is this sustainable?
That's the big question.
I mean, could this momentum carry ADA to that $1 mark? Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, reaching that psychological threshold could attract even more investors.
Right.
Fuel further growth.
It's exciting.
Yeah. But it's important to remember, nothing is guaranteed in crypto.
Very true. All right, so Cardano's, sprinting ahead.
Yeah.
But what about Ethereum?
Ethereum. What about it?
It seems to be taking a more laid-back approach today.
Oh, right, yeah. Trading sideways.
Should ETH holders be worried?
Not necessarily. Ethereum's price, it tends to move in cycles,
Okay.
Right now, it looks like it's in a consolidation phase.
So instead of talking about fourth wave and triangle pattern like some reports do,
Yeah, let's keep it simple.
how would you explain this to someone who, maybe isn't as deep into the technicals?
It's like Ethereum is taking a breather, right, before its next big move upward, which historically, could be significant.
I like that analogy. A breather?
Yeah.
So this pause, it's kind of like the calm before the storm.
Exactly, yeah. The direction of ETH's next move, it's likely going to set the tone for a lot of other altcoins.
Right, so everyone's watching Ethereum closely.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the OG crypto king, Bitcoin,
Bitcoin.
sitting pretty above $90,000.
Not bad.
And while it's not making huge waves today, it's still outperforming many other cryptos.
True, yeah.
Is this Bitcoin's safe haven status coming into play, do you think?
It seems so. When uncertainty creeps into the market, investors often flock to those assets they see as, well, reliable, stable,
Right, makes sense.
Bitcoin, with its limited supply and long history, it often plays that role.
Okay,
You could even say it's like the digital gold, in times of market turbulence.
interesting. But Bitcoin's price is still so volatile.
Yeah.
How can something that swings up and down so dramatically be considered a safe haven?
Yeah, that's a good point. It is all relative, right?
Right.
Compared to a lot of those altcoins, Bitcoin's movements, they are less erratic. And also the growing inflow into Bitcoin ETFs, that suggests that those institutional investors, they see it as a long-term store of value,
Despite the short-term fluctuation.
Exactly. They're looking past those.
So the big players, they're betting on Bitcoin for the long haul.
Looks like it, yeah.
All right, so Bitcoin is enjoying that safe haven status,
Mm-hmm.
but we are seeing some pullbacks in other coins,
Oh, like who?
like Solana and Litecoin. Why the contrasting fortunes there?
This is a great example of something called market rotation.
Market rotation.
Yeah. As trends shift, new narratives pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Investors, they reallocate their capital, move from one asset to another. It's kind of like, think about fashion trends. What's hot one season might be out of style the next. Same with crypto.
So Solana and Litecoin, they're just falling out of favor.
Well, for Litecoin, you got to remember, it's one of the older cryptos.
Right. It's been around for a while.
Yeah. New technologies are popping up, and sometimes it's tough for those established players to keep up.
It's like trying to stay relevant when you were like the the original influencer.
Exactly.
And now you've got all these new TikTok stars coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. And with Solana, it's a bit different. Some recent developments have raised some concerns about its, long-term viability.
Okay.
So that uncertainty, it can lead investors to look for alternatives, at least for the short term.
So even in a bull market, you're saying not every coin is going to go up.
Exactly. There are always going to be winners and losers.
Speaking of bull market, this report mentions, it says, extreme greed is the prevailing market sentiment.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds kind of intense.
It is, yeah. Essentially means there's just a ton of excitement, tons of optimism in the market right now.
Okay.
People are buying crypto, prices are generally rising. But it also means there's a heightened risk of a correction.
A correction, like a market crash?
Not necessarily a crash, more like a significant pullback in prices. Think of it like a wave. It surges forward, then recedes before it surges again.
Okay.
The higher the wave, the stronger that pullback can be.
Got it. So how do you know when a correction is coming? Like, are there any warning signs?
One indicator is the funding rate for perpetual futures contracts.
I got to admit, that sounds a little complicated. Can you break that down for me, for the listeners who aren't as familiar with that kind of stuff?
Sure. Imagine a group of people, right?
Yeah.
And they're betting on whether the price of a crypto is going to go up or down. When that funding rate is high, it means a lot of people are betting on the price going up. They're willing to pay a premium for that bet.
So a high funding rate, that means lots of optimism, but also potentially a lot of risk if those bets go wrong.
Exactly. It's a sign the market might be getting a little, ahead of itself.
Right.
And a sudden shift in sentiment, that can trigger a sharp price drop.
Got it. So what else should, investors be watching out for?
Well, I'd say keep an eye out for excessive speculation. Are people buying into a coin based on its actual value, its potential?
Right.
Or are they just chasing hype, hoping to get rich quick? If it's the latter, that's often a sign that, well, a market correction could be around the corner.
So it's important to kind of distinguish between genuine excitement, and unfounded hype.
Exactly. That's where research and due diligence, they come in.
Makes sense. All right, so we've got Cardano on the rise, Ethereum taking a breather, Bitcoin playing it safe, and some altcoins, they're experiencing those pullbacks.
There's a mixed bag out there.
And hanging over all of this, we've got the possibility of a market correction. It's a lot to process.
It is, but it really just highlights how dynamic the crypto market is.
Okay, true. But before we get too carried away, let's circle back to that Coinbase news. Remember we teased that earlier?
Oh, right. The wrapped Bitcoin delisting.
Yeah, they're delisting wBTC next month. Can you remind our listeners what is wrapped Bitcoin and why is this delisting kind of a big deal?
Okay, so wrapped Bitcoin, it's essentially a tokenized version of Bitcoin that runs on the Ethereum blockchain. Think of it as a digital representation of Bitcoin that lets you use it within the Ethereum ecosystem. It's pretty popular. It lets Bitcoin holders access to Ethereum's DeFi applications.
So it's like a bridge between the Bitcoin and Ethereum worlds.
Exactly.
And Coinbase is taking away that bridge. That seems, that's a pretty big deal, right?
It is, especially when you consider how vague their reasoning was.
Yeah.
They basically just said wBTC doesn't meet their listing standards anymore, but they didn't really say, why.
Which leaves everyone wondering, right?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation, obviously.
What do you think? What could be behind this?
Well, some people think it might be about, regulatory concerns. Others think it could be Coinbase trying to, favor their own wrapped Bitcoin product.
Interesting.
It's hard to say for sure.
What about the impact on the market? What does this mean for people who are holding wBTC?
It's too early to tell, really. Some people might panic and sell, which could drive the price down. Others might see it as a buying opportunity.
Okay.
The wBTC team, they've actually urged Coinbase to reconsider.
Really?
Yeah, they're pointing out the disruption this will cause for users.
That makes sense.
It's definitely a situation to watch, see how it unfolds.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, yeah.
Let's do a quick recap for our listeners. The key takeaways.
All right, sounds good.
So we started with Cardano and its crazy surge.
Right, that was exciting.
All that investor confidence. It's a good reminder that you got to understand market trends. Look for that data that backs up those price movements. And we talked about Ethereum just kind of chilling, taking a breather before its next move.
Consolidating.
Right, consolidating.
Yeah.
And remember, Ethereum, it often kind of sets the tone for the rest of the altcoin markets. Definitely worth watching. And then there's Bitcoin, good old Bitcoin. Playing it safe in all this uncertainty.
Yeah, that safe haven asset.
Even though it's still volatile, it's got that track record, the growing institutional interest. A lot of people see it as a solid long-term investment.
For sure.
And of course, we talked about market rotation.
Right, with Solana and Litecoin.
Yeah, those pullbacks are a good reminder that not every coin moves in the same direction.
It's all about staying informed and being flexible, adapting to the changes.
And finally, that looming possibility of a market correction.
Right, can't forget about that.
All those warning signs, the extreme greed, the high funding rates, all that speculation. Really got to do your research.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in the hype.
Solid advice.
So, with all that in mind, what's the one thing our listeners should take away from this deep dive?
Well, you've got that strong market sentiment, right? But also those signs of a potential correction. It's coming. The question is, how can you position yourself to take advantage of the opportunities while, minimizing those risks?
That's a great question. It's like a constant balancing act in crypto.
It is, yeah.
And as always, doing your own research, understanding your own risk tolerance, that's essential.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the crypto markets. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. We'll see you then.